What's going on, guys? I forgot to put my intro in tonight, which would have come in pretty handy there for another 30 seconds. But hey, we'll rock and roll a little bit early. Got Kerry Williams in the house, got Backwoods Tennessee in the house tonight. What's going on, guys? So
Nothing much.
Backwoods, he's got his own channel, promoted as well. He's been a listener on the channel. Tell everybody, if anybody that's on here now as we continue to build the audience, kind of tell them what your channel's about. You've had it for how long? You had it going now?
About 2 or 3 years. Focusing kind of more on the log in the last 2 years. So, yeah, I started my channel. Really, the channel's been around for the last 4 years. Kind of started with one of my buddies. We were doing like food challenges, going out to restaurants, trying to get something for free. All the, just trying to go viral. And then come back to work with my dad logging. I guess me and my brothers would be fourth or fifth generation loggers at this point. It's all my family's ever known. Came back, started kind of filming that, and my brothers have a channel as well, and theirs is done really well, and they kind of got tired of it, so I've kind of took over all the logging filming, and it's really done well here recently. So we're just small family goes out, does logging together, just kind of films some of the stuff that we do along the way. So yeah, it's been going pretty good.
Very cool channel, and that's what I've said before. If you have not, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check out the channel. It's a very cool channel, and sure you guys will stay pretty busy with everything going on. Of course, old Frank's he's charged up, he's got power, he's back in the game, he's ready to rock and roll tonight. You boys ready to talk some Tennessee football tonight?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. If any of you follow along, if you've ever seen the Outlaw character, there is a good possibility that the Outlaw is going to make an appearance tonight at some point. So I told you guys I've got one question to start this thing off, and we'll go roll from here. Tennessee loses to Arkansas 19-14 on Saturday night. My simple question is, Kerry, I'm going to let you start. Landon, I'll come back to you on it. I'll let you piggyback on it. What in the hell happened on Saturday night, Kerry? I'm going to let you start, and then I'm going to kick it to you, Landon.
I don't think nobody can really grasp what happened unless you're a part of the program. That's the worst performance under Heupel by far, especially on the road. You haven't seen that at all from him. It was not his brand of football. He abandoned his style of play. You saw hints of it at Oklahoma, where he just tried to slow down the game and win it with the defense. You saw him try to do that again after we jumped out to a 14-3 lead, and it didn't work. Heupel knows better than that. He's got to play his style of football if he wants to be successful. If he's going to win games in the SEC, he's got to do what he was born and bred to do, which is go really fast and score a lot of points. And he's not going to win many games whenever he doesn't score more than 20 points, as we have seen so far with his resume.
Landon, I'll kick it to you. You and I were texting during the game there. We were kind of in agreement on what was going on. You've slept on it for a couple days now and thought about it too. What's your thoughts on Saturday night?
I'm trying to figure out what in Josh Heupel's DNA has changed since 21. I don't really does he have the defense now he's kind of been wanting the last 2 or 3 years, and now he's kind of changing I don't really have the answer. So maybe why his philosophy has kind of went a different way. All these little swing passes to the sideline, picking up 2 or 3 yards on first down, a run up the gut on second down, you're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, behind the chains, and that's if you don't account the 3 or 4 false starts we have on first down by Lance Hurd and company. I don't know. I wish I had a simple answer. I figure I can go 10 different ways on it. But, the tight ends wasn't really utilized any. The middle of the field, not really either. I don't know if they're having to bring them in to block because the offensive line is kind of so shaky right now. I don't know where the explosive plays are going. 22, all gas, no brakes. 23, we blame Joe Milton. I did. I thought the playbook was kind of condensed. And this year, I was at the UT Chattanooga game. I was like, man, this could be it, And now Oklahoma, I defended Heupel. I was like, man, he had the defense rolling. He just wanted to be conservative, not get Nico killed. But now I'm just thinking, I don't know what to think. I hate to abandon ship, but it's just kind of, I don't know. I guess what's on your latest memory is just what's on there, and that's what's happened against Arkansas in the second half of Oklahoma.
Do we owe Joe Milton an apology?
No.
You didn't waste
Not
your
yet.
time
Not
on
yet.
that. I mean, I'm the same as you. I mean, I was the same way last year because I'm like, why did we not play Nico last year? You know, we're calling the game like we had a true freshman quarterback last year. Now we've got a redshirt freshman quarterback. We're really not calling it any differently. Like I said, the Chattanooga game was explosive. I was at the NC State game, and there was times I was like, they didn't play their best, but we saw some adjustment here with that 12 personnel with the two tight ends. We ran the ball well. We saw the Kent State just ridiculous. And then, I think we were all the same. We kind of defended Heupel at Oklahoma, but I don't know, man. I mean, this is the same playbook as last year because, did that mystique, Landon, I'll go to you first, then to Kerry. Did all that go out the door when Alex Golesh left?
It makes you wonder, right? I mean, especially how UCF seems to always play Bama tough whenever they go down there. It makes you wonder, man, because 22, I mean, it seemed like we could just consistently put 50 burgers on everybody. I mean, top 10 defenses. I mean, we were putting it on everybody. And then Alex Golesh leaves, and it's not really looked the same since he's been gone. I mean, but all we heard from everybody, which personally, whenever Alex Golesh left, I was a little bit worried because I felt like he had a pretty big hand in the offense. But all you hear from everybody is Alex Golesh is not going to change anything. It's Josh Heupel's offense. Mm-hmm. If it's still Josh Heupel's offense, it hasn't looked like the 22 version, certainly. So, I mean, I think Alex Golesh leaving is more of an impact than maybe we thought at the beginning. And if Joey Halsley is calling the plays, I mean, I don't think he's doing a very good job at the moment, So, I mean, that's just kind of my opinion on it.
Yep. Kerry, what do you think?
I've been thinking about it a lot, just considering the fact that that's just such a huge topic now that we've had Hazel as the offensive coordinator for two seasons now. And I'm not sure what to think of it. I directly think back to the Purdue Bowl game whenever they did the segment regarding, I'm pretty sure it was directly at Alex Golesh, where the drives would only go, I don't remember the exact number, but like 6 to 8 plays, and then it was the kill shot. You had your drive was only going to be 6 to 8 plays because we were going so fast. Your offensive line is exhausted. So at that point, that was the Golesh would call down, say kill shot play right here, and then if we didn't make the big play, okay, we accept the loss of the series, and that's kind of been abandoned. I get that Hendon Hooker plays a huge part into that, and Joe Milton didn't last season. I feel like the playbook, Heupel had a whole season with Milton, and the playbook completely shifted just for him. And now you got a new quarterback in the system, and I feel like Heupel's leaning more towards the Joe Milton playbook compared to the Hendon Hooker playbook, and he's not letting Nico have the same chances that he gave Hendon Hooker. He threw Hendon Hooker into the fire, and he had an entire playbook open with a worse offensive line, in my opinion. And then now here we are with Nico, a 5-star quarterback, generational quarterback, and it's just the plays aren't there. It's also Nico's just got to get rid of the ball. I feel like there's a lot of times where there is guys opens down the field. Nico's just holding on to it. I said it probably 5 times in the game against Arkansas. 3 to 4 seconds. That's all you got. 3 to 4 seconds. You take the shot or you drop it down. There was a bunch of times that a running back or tight end was right in front of him, and he could have got a little dump down and got 5 yards, but he just didn't make the decision. So I think it just depends. I don't think Hazel plays that big of a role, in my opinion. I think it's all just Heupel now, but what do I know?
Did you guys, I cannot remember this, did Golesh stay through the bowl game against Clemson 2 years ago? Did Heupel and Joey take it over that game? Because I know Golish had gotten
I
the
don't think
South
so.
Florida job, but I couldn't remember if he stayed on through the bowl game or
Yeah,
not.
he stayed. I'm pretty sure he insisted on staying.
Okay, because I was thinking in that bowl game they still went at a breakneck pace, and
They
no,
did.
Milton was pretty good in that game. He was. I mean, I still say if Hooker would have played in that game, they would have put 60 on Clemson, but Milton was decent. But I mean, I think back even when Heupel first started, and Milton was the starter in the first game against Miami, Ohio, and then he played
It was
against
Bowling
Pitt.
Green.
It's Bowling Green. That's right. I knew it was one of them. It's Bowling Green. I should remember that because I taught with some Bowling Green grads. But they were still going fast. It was a fast playbook, even with Milton in. I mean, that Pitt game, that second game, I mean, Milton could have hit those deep passes. What, he missed 4 of them? It would have been. It'd have been over in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the kill shot, as you mentioned, it was there, and now we're not seeing it. So something's adjusted, and I mean, this offensive line. Cooper Mays is a veteran. Spraggins is a veteran. John Campbell's a veteran. You've got Carriage when he plays is in. You've got now Lance Hurd, who is probably, according to the evaluations, maybe considered the most talented, maybe not the best, but the most talented. You got Dane Davis, who's played a lot of football down here. I don't like the offense. And two, though, you made some good points. Nico's not hitting the dump down either. Is it there? I mean, where's that quick stuff? Was that just a Hooker part of the playbook that he was able to recognize that better? But I guess what's got me too, we're not seeing him run, though. Hardly any. We're not seeing Nico run, and that seemed to be that seemed to be his thing. So, I'll pose it to you guys. Are you concerned, or you think it's a bump in the road, Kerry? I'll go to you on this. Bump in the road, or we got concern coming this week?
I would be concerned if the same thing happens this Saturday night. I think Oklahoma game's an outlier. This last one's the eye-opener. If the same thing happens against Florida, then the deep concern throughout the entire fan base needs to occur, because it's terrifying heading into playing Alabama.
All right, Landon, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of keep thinking. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman. Usually a highly touted, you would think, would make less mistakes. But at the same time, it just seems like on some of those where goes into the scramble drill, he gets out of the pocket, it's almost like he's kind of reluctant just to take off and try to get what he can. Like even the Arkansas game, I think Hooker probably takes a couple of those runs, 25, 30 yards, with the amount of room that Nico had on some of those. Do y'all think he's just he wants to hit the big play so bad, he's almost doesn't want to take the 5 to 10 yards he has? And then on some of those, he just eats the sack. I feel like some of those he could also throw away too, and just live for the next play. But if it happens again against Florida, I mean, which me and Kerry are probably similar ages, I've never really felt good about a Florida game, just because they've not given me a reason to believe that we're going to win. So I mean, if it happens again against Florida, definitely probably going to hit the panic button on it. But I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. I mean, games happen. I'd feel better if he wouldn't have ate the ball on the last play and at least try to get it in the end zone for something. I mean, Joe Milton 2 point. Okay, you asked if I owe Joe Milton an apology just for that one single play. I'll say no, just because I've still not got over that.
Oh my gosh, I had never in my life seen a quarterback from their own 20-yard line run out of bounds to end a freaking football game when you can throw a pass and possibly win it. And now it's happened twice in 4 years. How in the world does that happen? I mean, good grief. If you throw an interception, so be it. At least you're given a chance. But I mean, at that point, if you're over the line of scrimmage, either take off towards the end zone, throw a freaking lateral. I don't know anything but run out of bounds. I mean, that's inexcusable.
Yep.
That is inexcusable to me to happen. And for it to happen twice in 4 years. I know Nico said he was waiting for, I guess it was Thornton. He thought he had him, and then he was covered. He was waiting on Brazel, and then he said something about the ball slipping out of his hands. slip on towards the end zone. Then. Don't slip it out of bounds. I mean, if it hits the ground, who knows? Maybe somebody for our team picks it up and you get a Cal Stanford going from the 20-yard line. I mean, but gosh, man, that just what do you do on that? I mean,
no idea.
It's
just.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of into. I'm almost with you all on this. You know, you mentioned Landon talking about Florida, not expecting much. Florida's starting to play. They've played a couple pretty good games in a row now. It was Mississippi State and Central Florida. You know, Central Florida had looked pretty good. I'm not sure how good Oklahoma is, to be honest with you. I think they're okay. I'm not sure how good Arkansas fans told me his team should be 6-0. I'm not saying they're wrong on it, but Arkansas fans told me it was an insult that I said they're not very good. I'll stick by it. They didn't impress me. They did what they had to. They were more physical than we were. But, I mean, our offense was terrible. We ran it. Dylan Sampson bailed us out on it. But our pace sucks. Our blocking sucks. Our reads suck. Our receivers are either not getting open or we're just calling plays that's taking them forever to get open. And I think you got to adjust at some point here. But let me get us called up here. We've got some people in the chat here. Appreciate you guys. We got Unsung in here. Said Halsley supposedly called the plays in the first half. I just haven't seen anything impressive from him. I mean, he's supposedly been the play caller for second season now. Joe Milton did it against subpar competition for the most part last year. I mean, he ended his career, lit Vandy up, which, good for him. Nico lit up Chattanooga and Kent State. I mean, NC State was a mixed bag. He did some good things on it. Oklahoma, I mean, he made a couple good throws. Arkansas, he looked like a redshirt freshman. And I've got a question for y'all about this game too on it. Papa J, what's up, man? Heupel is concerned about something. What is it? Piss poor offensive line, run back blocking. Can't trust Nick. I'm going to go to you guys on this one. Landon, what do you think? I think this is a good question. Do you think it's the offense, the blocking? Do you think it's Nico? Do you think it's a combination?
A combination for sure. I think Papa J hit on the head right there. I mean, I watched a guy going back through the film breakdown of John Campbell and Lance Hurd specifically. Lance Hurd, what was that? The end for Arkansas, was it Landon Jackson that kept?
Yeah.
I mean, he was eating Lance Hurd's lunch several times, and I mean, some nasty swim moves. I think Heupel probably seen some of that. I mean, that doesn't give you much confidence. And the same guy, I watched him put John Campbell just on his back. He didn't trip or anything. He just literally put him on his back. And I just wonder if those guys have missed some time and maybe they're just not in shape to run the tempo that they need to be. I know in one clip, Lance Hurd was just over on his knees, just looked like he was gasping for air at one point, which I know he had the ankle issue and all that. But I thought in the Oklahoma game, maybe that's why he went conservative, just because, I mean, 2 strip sacks doesn't make you feel great about the protection and pass pro, So I definitely think it kind of goes together. The offensive line is really, I felt really good about the offensive line going into this season. Kerry, didn't give us a lot to believe in last year. Kind of had a hard time getting going. But as far as Cooper Spraggins, John Campbell, and Lance Hurd, I felt not too bad about going into the. I mean, even Dane Davis, I feel like you can plug him in at times. He can give you some decent snaps. Maybe not a full game, but I mean, I would probably go offensive line, maybe more concerning. At the same time, they also got Dylan Sampson, about 140 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
But how much of that is the offensive line, or how much of that is just Sampson being a beast? Because he's kind of put us on his back a few times during this season.
Yeah, for sure. Kerry, what do you think on it? Offensive line, Nico, combination of it?
I would definitely go a combination of it. I mean, what Landon was talking about with Lance Hurd and John Campbell, I mean, they both played completely awful and you can't underestimate that. That was a piss poor performance by both of them. I would rather had Larry Johnson and Dane Davis start at tackle on both sides and play the entire game than them two. I mean, Lance Hurd, he didn't even look like he deserved to play on a JV football team. From if you go back and look at the highlights, it's just
you shared the
a
one
mountain
of him that was
because he's a mountain standing in place and he can barely move. I mean, Landon Jackson blew right past him and he didn't even make contact with him. He was around him and he was still looking forward. He hit the salsa move and he was around him. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then John Campbell, I don't know. He can't even play half a game, it seems like. And he's just getting run over. Like, it's completely night and day difference with him this year and last year. And then my thing is, like, the running back blocking, you're overworking Sampson right now. His snap count is ridiculously high already. Where is Cam Seldon? Dude's huge. Why is he not in there blocking? And if you put in Seldon, you don't have to have a tight end in there. Seldon's a good enough pass blocker. You can go 4 wide, which is 4 wide receivers, which I hope we see this Saturday. And hopefully Nico just gets the ball out. If you put Seldon in the backfield or even Bishop, you can take out a tight end and you can be successful, even if you have Lance Hurd and John Campbell's, the 2 Achilles heels of the offensive line right now, out there just getting burnt on every play.
Is it something possibly with the tackles, though? Because at Oklahoma, the tackles got blamed, and it was predominantly Dane Davis and Larry Johnson. I mean, John Campbell, it was the same thing. Like I said, he can't play half a game. So is it the tackles? Is it the tight ends? Is it the running backs on that? I mean, is it just all of them? I mean, that's what I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but I mean, the way it looked the other night, which do you all think, Kerry, which do you think was worse? The tackles against Oklahoma or the tackles against Arkansas?
I don't even think that's a question. I mean, you single-handedly lost the game to Arkansas due to the performances of John Campbell and Lance Hurd, not only just getting burnt on every play, but also the inexcusable penalties on a road in a not SEC game that you just can't have. So, and there was a lot of times that they got away with some stuff. John Campbell had a couple bear hugs that he just got away with. So,
what do you think, Landon? You think you kind of in agreement on it?
Yeah. I think just because we lost, now I've not let it go quite yet, I would have to say Arkansas as well. But I don't know. Like you was saying about the tight ends blocking the running backs. I heard Eric Kane say that the reason why we saw Sampson go out for a little bit, like 2 or 3 drives against Oklahoma, if y'all remember that, we saw the second string. Yeah, we saw Bishop for like 2 or 3 series in a row there. He said it was because on one of those, he was supposed to chip on one of those times that Dane Davis missed that block, and he didn't chip, and he missed the block. He came out on one of those strip sacks, but I kind of feel like the benefit of him almost outweighs him missing a block or two. Maybe not in the grand scheme of the game, but he just get the guy out in space. He just makes plays, and that's why I kind of get so frustrated whenever they just keep sending him up the middle. I mean, get that guy out in space a little bit. I feel like around the edges, and he just makes stuff happen. But as far as the tackles go, I mean, I'd kind of have to say Arkansas. I mean, because if they weren't getting penalties, they were getting beat. I mean, they give Nico a few clean pockets in that game, but then he didn't really capitalize on those moments. So I don't know if he's just not getting enough clean pockets to get kind of in a rhythm, maybe, or if he had the clean pockets the whole game, he's not going to get in rhythm. But I definitely think it probably doesn't help that he's got pressure down his neck constantly, and and we've got probably better defensive ends and defensive lines on down the road. I know Oklahoma's a pretty feisty defense, Arkansas probably too, but I mean you got Bama and Georgia defensive lines on down the road. So I mean it's not really going to get any easier, and if God forbid Florida comes in here and eats Nico up as well, I'm not going to feel great either.
No, and Nico, he had, like you mentioned, he had Squirrel open that one time and overthrew him. He had a clean pocket. There's part of me wonders if he's getting hit so much, he's just waiting to get hit, and maybe he's getting a little antsy getting ahead of it. But, this was, and I know last week when I looked at the PFF grades, and everybody, you can, take them what you will. I think they're pretty interesting. any way people look at it and grade them. I know Larry Johnson graded out well against Oklahoma. I don't know how many. I don't think he graded out as well, but Danny here said, "Well, me, but was Dane Davis not at right tackle on both touchdowns?" Did you guys notice on that? I know Davis graded out well this week, according to PFF. So was that the case?
Yeah, he was. He was in on both those series.
Okay, so there you go.
I think maybe I texted you that one time on that first touchdown that after halftime. I said, was Dane Davis at right tackle that whole drive? Because
that's right.
I mean that the run game looked a lot better than it had in the first half, and coincidentally, Dane Davis is at right tackle.
Yeah, that's right. God, I remember this name from my old days in another world. The old Knoxville Predator catcher in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. Said same offense we saw last year. It means it's either because of the play call or lack of trust in the quarterback offensive line. It is, and from what I was reading today, it's not a lot of true RPO. I guess it's just quarterback draw or dive up the middle, basically. But yeah, you mentioned earlier, we're seeing Sampson up the middle. Yeah, I'll tell you what caught me by surprise on that. Could you guys believe Danico Slaughter ran down Dylan Sampson?
I didn't.
I did not see that one coming.
No, I didn't.
Didn't he do that?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and the last couple of weeks I've seen Malik Willis go to the Green Bay Packers, come back to Nissan and beat my Titans, which that's another topic. But then me and my father-in-law, we like watching your stuff, Frank. So I'll give a shout out to my father-in-law, Daryl. He's a big time Tennessee guy, and I'm sure he's watching at home right now. But whenever he broke that run, whenever he broke the line of scrimmage, I said he's gone. And then Danico Slaughter comes out of nowhere and tracks him down. And I just don't know if he thought he was gone and maybe didn't put it in high gear from the get-go. But Danico had himself a night, and happy for good for you, Danico, but maybe not do it against us. Don't have your coming out party against the Vols.
He was probably one of them out of the defensive backs that left that I would not have been upset if he would have stayed. The rest of them, I can't really say that there's any that it hurt my feelings that they left. I'm not saying that they were all bad or anything. I mean, McDonald had his moments, but Walker had his moments, but they had to do what they had to do. I think there's more talent back there now, but Slaughter, I would have kind of liked to seen him stay, to be honest. And definitely he got the last laugh the other night. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'd much rather lose trying our best, calling good plays that may just not have worked than what we've seen. Really, the last two games have been pretty bad. Trying to see. I think this was you, Kerry. You had this one. Get Justin Fleener. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. Good players don't wait on other players to make plays happen. They make them themselves. You put this one up today, Kerry. Wasn't Nimrod wide open in the back of the end zone on it? How open was he on that? Because I know you posted it out today.
Yeah, he was a lot. He had a lot of space around him, considering it was the final play of the game and you had a chance to win it. A lot of people on that play is like, oh, that's an impossible throw. Oh, there's nobody there. The guy's going to pick it. If you go back, if you watch that play from that angle, you will see a defender, which I'm pretty sure is a linebacker, under. That's just simply not getting there. He's over 10 yards. He's not covering 10 yards in 2 seconds. Like, that's just not happening. And then the other two defenders, they're following Thornton. They would completely have to turn around and then make a play on the ball. It's just, there's so much space right there. It's like the whole entire section letter of the B. And then there's some to the left of Nimrod. So he could have threw it even further left. He could have threw it above him. He could have even drifted it a little bit right. There was like, I don't know the dimensions of the end zone, maybe 15 feet, 5 yards that would be. 5 to 8 yards, I would say. There's like a zone that he could have hit Nimrod, and I'm pretty sure Nimrod was going to sit in that spot. Nico had the decision. If you go back and look, it was at the 23-yard line is when you can fully notice that Nimrod's cutting across the middle. It's wide open, and Nico just simply didn't see him. Brett Kendrick he hinted on that earlier. He just didn't see him on the left side. Brett Kendrick, I don't know. You guys probably don't remember him. He played center a few
I
years
remember
ago.
him. Yeah, Butch's time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Butch's time. He was really good for us, but he just kind of noted that like that's hard to see. And I mean, I fully disagree with that. I mean, Nico's 6'6". There's nobody directly in his line. There's a defensive lineman to his left, but he can still see Nimrod right across the middle. I don't believe it. I don't believe the ball slipped. I don't believe he didn't see him. I just don't feel like he wanted to pull the trigger. He was so focused on Brazel. He was so focused on Brazel, which there was two guys there, and there was two guys coming in because the two guys covering Thornton could have gotten to Brazel. They couldn't have gotten to Nimrod. So it was a total blunder, which I mean, I'll accept. I fully moved past it. It's disappointing going back and seeing that, but there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm okay the fact that he didn't throw it. Totally a learning moment for Nico, which it won't happen again, I'm sure.
Which was more infuriating, that one or the fact that Sampson and Holden Stays were wide open on the next to last play? I mean, there was numerous opportunities, but I guess at the same time, the Arkansas quarterback missed a walk-in touchdown. He had his guy going wide open at one point too. So that really, I guess you could kind of say, evened up. Got a couple good questions here, and I wanted to get to this point here. I didn't even think about the chatter in the helmet, but there's a couple things here. Do we think Heupel was coaching not to get Nico hurt, Landon? What do you think on that? And I think that's a good question and one I've wondered about.
I mean, I definitely think he's probably considering that. I mean, you're paying the guy allegedly $8 million to play quarterback. I mean, you're probably going to be pretty conservative with him if you can and still have a chance to win, I feel like. I mean, you've got Gadsden and Moore behind him, but I think Gadsden's a solid quarterback. Definitely doesn't have the ceiling Nico has. So, I mean, I think that goes into his play calling a little bit, is the conservative play calling. I mean, because, not only this year, you're going to have Nico for a couple more years. I mean, I think you definitely want to try to protect him a little bit. So I think that's definitely going into it as well. And just speaking of the fact you guys were saying, I think the play before that, I mean, he had Kitzelman wide open as well. I mean, if he hits that, they're probably on the 5-8 yard line. It's a whole playbook opens up a lot from there than from the 20. I know as 3 plays in a row there, miss Kitzelman, misses Sampson and Stace, and then the run out of bounds 3 plays in a row. Like Kerry said, I think he'll definitely learn from that, but pretty tough 3 plays there in unison. But I do think that definitely that does go into it. Afraid to get Nico hurt.
Now here's the one I'm going to come to. This is one of mine. I've got a big question about right now, because you think about our line right now. Campbell is about a 10th year senior at this point. What is he on, 7th year? Spraggins is 5th year?
Yeah,
Cooper Mays is 5th year.
Yeah, this is his 5th too.
Carriage 5th or 6th, and then of course Hurd's 2nd. Dane Davis is a super senior. I guess they're still using that term. And then Lampley, I don't know how much he plays. He's a super, I'm pretty sure as well.
He is.
Here's the big one, and Predator Catcher brings this one up. This is my question too. Biggest concern, none of Heupel's offensive line guys ready to play a single snap. None of them. Hurd's a transfer. I mean, Ellerby, he's got to get credit for some of these guys because they've been there with him the whole time. But where are these guys they've recruited? I know Sham is hurt. He was a backup. Apparently Satterwhite is the backup center. Where some of these tackles? Larry Johnson was a JUCO, pretty experienced. I get a little bit out of him, but they've whiffed. They've whiffed in some recruiting. And the 21 was I give them a pass on that one. But 22, that's your guys now that should be coming into play, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have an offensive line? What? I don't know. Is it the coach? Is it the development? Is it the recruiting? Is it the scouting? What is it, Kerry? What do you think? Is it all of it?
I think it's directly Ellerby. Look at next year's class. You have David Sanders Jr. You lost Utu. You have the other kid. He's the Polynesian kid. I can't. It's weird last name.
Okamura.
Yeah, him. He'll be good. There's the Nick Moore guy, I'm pretty sure, who's an interior offensive lineman, and that's it.
Yep.
You're only bringing in 3 guys. David Sanders Jr. is a 4-star. The Polynesian kid's a 3-star, and then Nick Moore's a 4-star. Other than that, that's
Sanders
it.
Jr. is a 5-star.
Did I say that he's not a 5-star?
Yeah, man, come on, don't short him a star. You know,
well, I didn't mean to. That wasn't on purpose.
After he signed with Tennessee, you lose a star, right?
Well, that is typically how it goes. But he's your starter.
You're just getting
next
out in
season.
front of it.
Yeah.
Could David Sanders Jr. start for Tennessee right now?
Yes. He could start left tackle or right tackle. I would take him immediately.
I really hated to see Utu go because I thought he was a day one starter too.
That hurts.
I think maybe they can get him back in the fold. I don't know, but they better worry with. There's been numerous guys visiting Georgia and these other places right now, so I don't think any of your guys from Georgia are in the boat until they're in the boat.
Yeah. Right
now. What do you think, Landon? What's your on the line? You think it's coaching? Do you think it's scouting, recruiting? What do you think it is?
It'd be tough to say recruiting because I feel like on paper Lance Hurd was the guy in the portal, right? That's what we heard. Like everybody's after Lance Hurd in the portal. If he comes in, he's a day one impact player. That's all I heard from the stuff that I listened to anyway. So whenever they got him, I'm thinking, well, at least on left tackle will be solid. I know he had come off an injury, I think, and then he was also young. But as far as recruiting goes, I feel like I don't know if he's just maybe not Ellerby's not evaluating who he's getting the right way, but on paper, I feel like there's been some dudes that should be contributing. So, I think Ellerby's got to take some of the fall for this because he's had these guys in practice every single day. He's been working with these guys. And when they get on the field, whatever they're doing in practice is not translating to winning football, especially in the trenches. So, I think it's got to go to coaching because you're getting guys on paper that's supposed to be good. David Sanders Jr., is he not supposed to be like the number one offensive tackle in the country in the next cycle?
Oh, yeah.
God forbid he comes in and it isn't what he's meant to be, But, you're getting guys, but when they get on the field, it's just not really panning out the way it's supposed to, I feel like. So, I'd give Ellerby. I saw tons of comments on Facebook. If Pittman gets fired, bring him in, get rid of Ellerby. I saw that a lot on Facebook. I think you got to dish some of the blame to Ellerby.
Well, now, so to correct you, so Sanders was the number one tackle. Kerry dropped a few minutes ago, so he's down to about I don't know. He's a 4. He lost a star a few minutes ago. So
yeah,
now
Down
Sanders
to 3 before the night's over, maybe.
He might be. You never know. But I actually passed Sanders at the NC State game. But he is a big dude. He is a big dude, but he's not. He's like a slender type. He's an athletic looking dude that makes you think he can get out and pull and stuff. I'll be honest. If it's me on it, I would rather one of these freshmen, redshirt freshmen, true freshmen, get out and make the mistakes opposed to a 6th-year senior. That was my whole beef last year with playing Milton over Nico. He's a 6th-year senior. You're calling plays like he's a true freshman. If you're going to do that, you might as well put a true freshman in and do it. And that's the same here, whether it's Bennett Warren, Jesse Perry, Larry Johnson. I know Dane Davis is a senior, but, if Dane Davis is grading out better, put him in. If Campbell can't block and he can't play half the time, who knows with Hurd? I thought Hurd was good against NC State. Lacked a little bit of desired the other night. This was the special teams unit had a rough night the other night. That running into the kicker, that was that's 3 points. That led to 3 points, and that could have been different at the end of that football game. Instead of they may not have had to let them score a touchdown. Did y'all have a problem with them letting them score?
No, I was happy.
You have to, right?
Didn't expect that.
I think you did. It's either that or they run the clock down and kick a field goal to win it. Because Heupel apparently doesn't know how to call a damn timeout. We figured out. So, so I don't know. I don't know where else you go with it, but I thought it was the right call. In that situation, they're already down there. If they're back further, I'd try to maybe bring some blitzes or something. But when they're down that close, it was the right call. Special teams, I thought, had a rough night. Jackson Ross boomed one into the end zone at one point. Squirrel, I know Squirrel's out hurt, which stinks, but they had to get him out of the punt return. They have to get him. They got to get somebody else back there for it. I think he's killed them on punt returns. I don't know. Are y'all still confident in Nico? Kerry, I'll go to you first. You still confident in him?
I'm a little bit disgusted that you asked that question personally. I mean, what are you going to do? You gotta develop the kid. I mean, we stuck with Joe Milton for a whole year. You gave him multiple chances to start before that, and you rode out the ship with him. You did it with Jarrett Garantano. We're living the luxury life with Nico in right now.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I've seen a lot of people give up on him already. That's why I ask on it. Landon, what do you think on it?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely by far the best quarterback we've had. And I mean, as far as potential, I mean, he has it all, right? I mean, all the intangibles. No, I mean, I've not lost confidence in him yet. I mean, he's made some mistakes. I mean, keep in mind, I mean, he's a redshirt freshman. This is his first. I mean, even though he did say, I like playing on the road better, you know, maybe I don't know if he would take that back at this point or not, maybe. But I mean, I fully expect him to maybe catch his stride here in the next couple of games. If that line can just give him some time. I mean, I feel like he's got a good head on his shoulders. Seems like, I mean, he's not, you know, he definitely isn't acting like after the game like that Malachi Moore from Alabama at the end of that game. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, that was pretty.
I mean,
cool,
I don't.
actually.
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, it just ruined his life. He lost to Vanderbilt apparently. But I mean, I think Nico, he got a good head on his shoulders. I mean, I think it's going to work out. I mean, we have a very passionate fan base. They, you know, but it's what have you done for me lately? A lot, I feel like, and they just, you know, want to jump off a cliff after one bad game. I mean, but he's still learning. He has, you know, one of the best head coaches in college football for a quarterback. I think Nico's going to be fine.
I mean, I agree. I'm not. He's young. He made some pretty bad. He made some pretty big mistakes, but probably, I think the Arkansas environment was probably tougher environment than Oklahoma. I don't understand why they're caught off guard with this 3-3-5 now. If they know teams are bringing it at them, what are they? Have they not found something to combat that? I don't know. I'm not in there with it or anything. My only thing of Malachi Moore, I had a problem with when he was kind of grabbing the quarterback, trying to rub his head. When he threw the stuff, I'd have been right beside of him, throwing my mouthpiece to Blue, because I hate to lose. But it's I think Nico will be fine. But and here's why I'm not down on him. I don't think our coaches are helping him. I don't think our game plan's helping him out. If we know our tackles are a liability or they can't handle, you've got to be quick. You got to go quick. What happened to the pace? What happened to these quick plays with it? I get Hendon Hooker was on another level at that time. He was a more experienced guy. He was very good. But, you know, like you said just a minute ago, he's talented. Nico's got the talent. I mean, look at some of the throws he's made. And those, I know it was Chattanooga and Kent State, but if you can make those throws against them, you can make them against anybody. You just got to have the time. It's the difference on it. And I mean, I don't. To me, I mean, I think it was. I just think we got to help him out more. Where's Ethan Davis at? I think he's a mismatch. We talked about Cam Selden, or supposedly when Cam Selden come in, he could play slot or running back. I know he's been hurt. I know he's fallen behind Bishop, and Bishop's done a fine job, but I don't know, man. I just don't know it. And I don't think it's a case Nico doesn't have the dog. I think he's just a laid back dude. What do y'all think on that one? Kerry, I'll flip out on you. What do you think? Is he just laid back guy? Is he just feeling his way through? What do you think?
I think a lot of it has to just do with his culture. I mean, if you look at the kind of guys that those people are, they're really laid back most of the time. So, I mean, I would directly draw that to that. And another thing about Pavia, I mean, the kid is a dog. Like, he's good. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. He definitely plays with his heart, and he shows his heart. I mean, just go back and watch his interview, post-game interview after he beat Alabama. He's losing his mind, giving all glory to God, and then dropping the F-bomb. Like, he's all over the place. And that's awesome to see. Like, I'm happy for that kid, and I'm happy for Vanderbilt. I mean, you have to give your hats off to them. Like, that's just huge. I never in my lifetime thought that Vanderbilt would beat Alabama, and here they are. So, I mean, of course, it'd been nice to have Nico show that kind of emotion, but I don't expect that from him just because the kind of guy he is and the culture that he comes from.
What do you think on that, Landon?
I think Nico is like Hooker in the way how they're going to be pretty calm, cool, and collected for the most part. We saw Hooker a few times. I think maybe the Florida game at home in 22. Guy tackles him, kind of laying on top of him to try to slow the tempo down. Hooker gets up, shoving him. I mean, he's like, yeah, you're not going to just lay on me, and I'm not going to just sit here and take it. We saw that out of Nico against NC State in the second half, I believe. You guys remember the play where the guy was kind of shoving him, and then he comes up and shoves him back and just kind of starts. I think it's in there, but he's not one that's just going to show that every single play. You know what I mean? But I think he's got that dog in him. I just don't think he's one that's not his main play style, like Pavia. Like Pavia, like he shows it every single play. I think Pavia reminds me a lot of Juwan Jennings. I mean, he doesn't have all the physical tools, but man, the dude just makes plays. And I mean, you say in Jennings, it's translated to the NFL, which I'm so happy for that guy. He's killing it for the 49ers right now. But I think Nico, he's got the fire in there. I mean, they say he's one of the hardest working guys in practice from everything I see. He's pretty vocal in practice, they say. I mean, I think he's definitely got it in there. I just don't think he's going to be one of the guys that just, puts it out there, a lot. But, I mean, we've seen times. He's got pretty fired up.
I think there's times, too, do some of these guys get mistaked for maybe not caring if they don't have that, you think? I mean,
yeah.
I've already, like, talking about, switching a little bit, not switching to baseball, but kind of going off topic. One of the guys that's going to be one of our big pitchers this year, I've heard from a very good source on it. He's same way. You wouldn't, whether he gives up a home run, whether he strikes out the side, whether he throws a no-hitter, emotions don't change. It's just even kill. He's dialed in. And I think Nico's dialed in. I really do. Kitzelman, I seen today, said Nico was really upset over the game. Felt like he really – and I like that. I like that it affected him. I mean, it sucks, but I think you guys know what I mean. If he would have just been like, whatever, I would have had a little bit more of a problem with that. But the fact that he was bothered by it, that shows he cares. And Kitzelman said he's been watching film and all that stuff. This is a good question for me Reese Winters had. One time that I can remember, NC State, quarterback draw up the middle, went for 25-yard touchdown. We have not seen it. Or am I forgetting it another
You're
time?
Not forgetting it.
I didn't think so. And I know I tend to forget
They
some
did it
things.
in the bowl game, and now it's just completely different. It's gone. It doesn't make sense. You've done it against Iowa, and then maybe one play against NC State, and then it's gone. I guess they're just terrified of him getting hurt, which is just crazy. Just who cares? If he gets hurt, just it happens. We did it in 2022 with Hidden Hooker. Like it's okay. Is your season over? Yes, but I would be okay with it if he went out and he ran down the field and he got the crap knocked out of him and he broke 3 ribs. I'd be okay with it because he at least showed that he can do that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things you don't want him to get hurt, obviously, but
well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but what's going to hurt more if you're playing scared or,
take a lick.
Do you, I think, Landon, I think you and I text, do you think they're playing not to lose or you think they're going all out to win?
I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if you're playing to win, I feel like you're taking like every chance possible to try to win. You play scared to lose. I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, what's the alternate? I mean, you take these shots, you play to win, and you still lose. I mean, you lost playing conservative. I mean, it's not like the outcome really going to change that much. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's where Heupel gets a little bit of a lead now, and he just tries to protect that lead. So, I mean, I think he's just playing not to lose at this point because he gets a little bit of a lead, tries to sit on it until the time's gone. But I mean, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. How much of a blame do we give these I mean, do the wide receivers take any of this blame? I've seen some camera angles from behind the ball, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of separation. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, do these wide receivers, are they not getting the separation they need to get? That is the reason why he's not letting that ball go sometimes, or are the wide receivers not winning? Or I mean, how do y'all feel about that?
I'll let you take that one, Kerry, and I'll share some stuff I read today too. I'll let you go first on that one.
I would say directly that I've noticed is with the 12 personnel, when you have a tight end or two in there and you only got 3 receivers, it's really hard to get the separation. When you got that many blockers, you notice there's only 3 guys. So if you go back and you watch just the weeks, all the games, whenever we have the 12 personnel in, a lot of teams, they only rush 3 guys. The rest drop back in coverage. 3 wide receivers aren't going to get open with 8 guys back there unless they're playing zone. Like, it's just not going to happen. And you don't have a guy in this wide receiver room that's a Cedric Tillman or a Jalen Hyatt that's going to get open and is going to make big plays. Nobody's done that so far. So until something changes there, you're going to have the same thing. Nico's going to be dropping back. They're going to be rushing 3. You only have 3 wide receivers going down the field, and nothing's going to come of it.
All right, it's was Brazel overhyped? We just hadn't seen him hit his stride yet. What do you think?
I think it's too small of a sample size to really guess. He's done good whenever the balls went his way. So I would say he's gotten a lot of attention and he's drew a lot of good defenders his way. He's got open at times. He's made the catches when the balls went his way. So I'm not disappointed. I wish there'd be a little bit more of a deep shot playability, but it is what it is.
Do you think, with that question, do you think that the line gives enough time for that?
Yes. All you need is 3 seconds.
Enough for it?
3 seconds.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, they had Squirrel the other night. So,
yeah.
What, Landon, who do you so it looks like Brew and Squirrel are out this week, does it not?
I would assume so, yes.
And I've seen rumors about Thornton, too, because I know Thornton on that stupid wide receiver screen, Squirrel took off and nailed him in the leg, and it looked like he was hurt, but Thornton come back out on it. I bet I know where you're going to go on this one, Landon, but who's the one guy you'd like to see get a chance to step up in the wide receiver unit?
I mean, I'd like to see Mac Matthews. I don't know if that's what y'all are thinking. I mean, dude looks like he's ready for this level of competition. I mean, you saw he can go that catch he had against who was it, guys? Was it that was okay? State, yeah, I mean, goes up, gets hit, hangs onto the ball with one hand. I mean, he looks like he's ready. I mean, at this point, I mean, give the guy a shot. You know, I mean, I think he can. He's probably a guy. I hear his route running is really good. I mean, that's how you get separation, speed, and your technique in route running. You know, throw him out there and see what happens. I mean, it looks like you may have to anyway with, you know, maybe Brew and Squirrel both being out. But do you guys think that Hyatt and Tillman just made the offense look better than the scheme is, or do you guys think that those guys just took to the scheme better than these wide receivers we have now, or is it just like we've been talking about, the line, the protection, keeping the tight ends in the block? Do you think all that kind of plays into that, or was Tillman and Jalen Hyatt just those guys?
Well, what do you think, Kerry? That's a good question.
I think it's easy to overlook the whole situation, and because I mean, there is a huge factor, and that factor is Hendon Hooker. He made the throws to those 2 guys. Joe Milton never made those throws, so that's a huge factor in that. And another thing is you don't have that guy right now. Brew McCoy is Brew McCoy. He's only getting the ball on scheme plays. Squirrel wide's been a disappointment. You don't have a guy that's just lighting teams up. You don't have a Ryan Williams. And So you have to, at this point, try to find your Brian Williams, whether that be Mike Matthews or a guy like Chaz Nimrod, who I'm extremely high on and I think should be playing. I think he should be starting over Squirrel White, even if Squirrel White's healthy. So somebody's got to step up. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to beat teams if you just have some mediocre wide receivers. You got to have a star.
You know, you mentioned about with Hendon Hooker, Tillman did his thing. Of course, Tillman was hurt a lot his senior year, but junior year, Tillman was awesome. Tillman was starting off strong until he got hurt. Then Jalen Hyatt. Think about Keaton that year, too. Keaton had a heck of a year in 2022. I mean, that Florida game, the catch, but not only that, he had good games throughout the year, and then he dropped off last year.
He was awful last year.
Yeah, he had a rough year. He definitely did. But, I mean, yeah, I don't see that guy at receiver. You know, Thornton at times with it, but it's like last year. I mean, Thornton kind of started coming around, then he got hurt. Squirrel's been disappointing this year. I mean, 7 catches for 38 yards. That's barely over 5 yards catch. That's not getting it done. And I know the plays that, and he was open. He was open. They missed him on one. I mean, like I said, Brew, I don't know if Brew's not getting separation, if he's not throwing it to him. Brazel, 2 catches, 21. I want to see Matthews. We've heard all about Matthews. I know he was hurt and stuff. I want to see Matthews too. I saw enough in that Kent State game, and I know it's Kent State, but when you make a play, you can make a play on it. Chaz Nimrod's I mean, if he's really 220 pounds and chiseled, he's put in the work. Let's see him as well. You know, Ethan Davis. I think those tight ends that they had under Hooker didn't get enough credit either, because Princeton Fant was pretty dang good. Jacob Warren was pretty good on that year too. So, I mean, I think they've got some good tight ends now as well. I just think that something's off. Something is off. And I'll tell you what, Josh, I'm going to call Hypo out on this one. Okay? So I'll ask you guys this question. Sure. We're just going to expect every year we're going to have that game where we better put our diapers on because we're going to crap our pants on the road every year. Are we going to have that every freaking year? Now, what do you think, Landon? Should we expect it, or do you think they'll finally get this monkey off their back, I guess, for lack of a better term? But
I mean, 3 years in a row you've had that game. I mean, 22, South Carolina. I mean, could a game go much worse? I mean, Hooker gets hurt. Oh man, you get knocked out of the playoff, all that. Then last year, Florida on the road. I mean, the play that comes to mind, I know he got better towards the end of the year, but Kamal Hadden just kind of giving a little bump as ETN goes flying down the sideline. That was a hard play to swallow. And then this year at Arkansas, I mean, it just seems like that they consistently lose to someone on the road that they should beat. And I don't know if that just goes to, you know, in the SEC road game is no joke, no matter where you play. Even Vanderbilt, apparently, because 2 weeks ago, Nick Saban said the only place you play in the SEC where it's not that hard is Vanderbilt because you have more fans than they do. And I heard one guy say after the Vanderbilt game, he was like, I was kind of worried they wouldn't have enough fans to turn the goalpost down, but I guess they got it down somehow. But, I mean, he's consistently lost games on the road that he should win. You know, so, I mean, at this point, I feel like we're going to kind of expect that one hiccup throughout the year to happen against teams that we probably should beat. Florida last year we thought weren't any good and they didn't really have that good of a season. And we get blown out. I mean, not just lose. We got blown out at Florida last year with probably a better roster, I feel like. So, I mean, at this point, I feel like you just expect he's going to fumble one on the road every year, no matter how good of a team he has, because number 4 in the country, go to Arkansas and get beat. I mean, it's like a common theme.
You know, I've got to go. I see we got Jeremiah, Arkansas fan. Appreciate him, man. Here he's complimenting Tennessee. Yeah, part of me when you lose, and I'll come to you on that in a minute, Kerry, but, maybe I'm one, I don't give team enough credit. Arkansas gave A&M credit. They gave A&M a game, and we see how A&M's playing right now. I mean, they're looking pretty strong. So, maybe Arkansas is better than I gave them credit initially, just because I thought Tennessee played so bad. Arkansas had a lot to do with that. But, I mean, that game could have been worse, too. It definitely – Arkansas could have if they get a couple fourth down conversions, that's a worse game there for sure. But just I don't know. I'll shift that one to you, Kerry. What do you think on that one?
I'm going
or what
to
Landon was going off. I got off topic a little bit.
You're fine. You're fine. I think until you don't see it happen, you kind of have to expect it. Whether it's a Tim Banks piss poor performance, a Hopple mismanagement, an awful offensive line, or an offense not showing up, I think it's something you have to expect. And it's also a hit at Hopple as well, and something that he's going to have on his shoulder looking forward. If you look at Kirby Smart and you look at Nick Saban, what did they always do? They played awful against teams, and they found ways to win those games. Kirby Smart just did it a few weeks ago at Kentucky. They should have lost that game. They should not have won that game, and they did. Tennessee was awful against Arkansas. They should not have won that game, and they didn't win that game, even though they had all the opportunities in the world to win it. And that's one of the huge differences right now of Heupel not being able to take that next step. He should have did it against South Carolina. He should have did it against Florida. He probably should have did it against Missouri, and now he's done it again against Arkansas.
Something's got to change. Something's got to change. I mean, that keeps giving you those red flags. Now, if let's say, for example, Tennessee comes up and wins the national championship. Do I think they will after what I saw? No, but let's say they do. Then we're like, this was the wake-up call we needed right here. But, people can say Connor Stallions against South Carolina. At that game, Spencer Rattler made some unbelievable throws that night. He lit Tennessee up. I don't care if he knew every defense Tennessee was running. His throws were amazing that night, and some of them were. And they just exposed Tennessee's linebackers in the flats that night. They exposed them. And, like I said, last year, I didn't have as big of a problem against Missouri because I thought Missouri was better. Florida was awful. I don't know. I guess the disappointing part to me the other night was our offense, and that we just what is this offense? Josh, I don't know if he's been talking to Philip Fulmer, and Fulmer's telling him, hey, we got to run football and play defense. It's okay to punt. Like the 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. We tried to sneak in on them there early with the draw or with the handoff. I mean, what are we doing? And I feel like numerous times this year I've said that. What are we doing here? This week, is there anything we've not hit on the Arkansas game?
There's a lot more we could hit. I'll tell you that.
We got nothing but time. I don't know what y'all got. I got nothing but time here. But, it's because we're about an hour in. We've got 126 people. It's a pretty good little crowd tonight. Appreciate you guys coming in, support the channel. Appreciate your patience over last week because definitely been an interesting last 10, 11 days for sure. But, as you're a long way too, I'll promote this. Make sure you check out those membership tiers. Got a few of those. Got some people join this week. Appreciate that. Got the Patreon. Always got the super chat, super thanks, the old tip jar, I guess you could say. That those are always appreciated for the work put in on here as well. But you said we got plenty more on the Arkansas game. What else? What else is on your mind from that one, Kerry? Because there's I'll probably blank on some of it here. But you look like you was itching to talk about something.
I think the defense, they just couldn't get off the field. And you let a backup quarterback win the game. You let a backup quarterback that couldn't do anything except hand the ball off beat you. You're a top 5 team in the country. You're supposedly top 5 defense in the country. And you let him run the ball. That's all they did. That's all they could do. The kid couldn't throw it. He was terrified to throw it. You knew the run was coming, and you just stood there and you got burnt. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, what is this? Like, how did we do that? It makes no sense to me. Like, their whole game plan was run it, throw it, which they could do with Green because he could make the plays. He gets out. As soon as he got injured, I was like, it sucks for him I'm sorry to Arkansas. I'm sorry to him. I wish him a speedy recovery. But we just got a gift. We got a gift that we've seen other teams get, the Georgias and Alabamas, and we got gifted a ball game. And then you just let the backup quarterback hand the ball off and beat you. So it's just the defense was just totally disappointing that game for me. I get they only gave up 19 points, but still, they're supposed to be the top 5 defense in the country, and they just pushed us around. They had Addison Nichols, a third string center here at Tennessee last year, giving us the business up front. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Landon, what did you think about the defense? I mean, you and I were both kind of surprised on it, but what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense had done a pretty good job, especially in the first half. I mean, that first drive, though, I mean, Arkansas had the ball for almost the majority of the first quarter. I mean, if you're Arkansas, that's the kind of game you want to get into, right? Well, supposedly that's the kind of game you want to get into against Tennessee because we're going to score a lot of points, apparently. Haven't seen it yet in SEC play. But they have a long, methodical drive, hold on to the football, and I felt like they were kind of bend, don't break kind of all night. And then it's like Kerry was saying, I mean, on the last drive, he goes out. I'm thinking, well, no shot they have a drive to go in. And lo and behold, they marched right down the field. It didn't take them very long either. I mean, they have 4 minutes and they got the ball back, 3 minutes, something like that, and take it down and score. As good as the secondary, had kind of been, they hadn't really been tested all year. The secondary looked a little bit suspect at times in the passing game this year. And I don't feel great going forward. I mean, I feel like it all kind of hinges on the defensive line. If they're getting pressure, the secondary's job gets a lot easier. But whenever that defensive line is not going to get home every single time against better competition, so you're going to have to cover some guys eventually. I think Boo Carter's, inexperience showed a little bit against Arkansas. We missed a few open field tackles that we had been, not really having happen all year against Arkansas. So, I mean, definitely a couple things kind of concerned about with the defense, especially like in the secondary. But, I mean, Jermod McCoy, I feel like he's still probably the best guy in the secondary. I mean, I know some of the guys he was covering caught the ball, but they were perfect passes, and he's still right there. I mean, just inches away from making a play. But where was Jacoby Thomas against Arkansas? I mean, dude had been wreaking havoc. Yeah, I mean, I kept waiting for him to come make some of those hits that we had been seeing, this season so far, and I don't remember any plays that really stick out in my mind that he had. I mean, unless I'm just blanking out on it. But I mean, don't feel. I mean, I still think we have a good defense. I do. I think Hendon Hooker would have given every dime of NIL money he ever got to have this defense in 22 because I think Tennessee wins a natty, no question. I mean, in 22, a team scores 19 points. Who cares? And because we're going to drop at least 40 on you. But this year it just seems like the defense might be what keeps us in some of these games.
Yeah, so I had the same question on Jacoby Thomas. I'm like, I don't remember hearing him, and I looked at the participation. I saw he had like 3 tackles, or else I wouldn't even have known he played. I know it said Will Brooks had, I think, 10 tackles. I'll tell you, man, I thought the linebackers were rough. I thought they made some plays. But, man, they were getting torched across the middle. You had that play where you had Arkansas pinned on the goal line where they almost got the safety. And then Arion Carter totally lost coverage. He totally lost coverage on the running back and got it in. I will say this. I'll address this one. Won't be saying someone should have beat Arkansas and got, I will absolutely be saying we should have beat Arkansas. I don't care if Arkansas wins the national championship. We should absolutely beat Arkansas the other night. Okay? I'm tired of hearing from Arkansas fans how great they are. They're fine. Okay? They're a decent team. They're probably better than I gave them credit for. But it's not like we played the 85 Bears the other night or something the way they're going on here. So it's like, it is what it is, and I'll stick with that. We played awful. Our game plan was awful. Did Arkansas influence that? Yes. But you know what? Good teams, like you said, Kerry, Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, they find ways to win those football games. Josh Heupel does not. And you know what? The fact that 2 times in 4 years, the quarterbacks run out of bounds to end the football game, not even play. I don't know what to say on that. You get what you get in those situations. But the defense, I thought James Pierce, I thought it was his best game the other night. He was active, doing things. I thought the linebackers did some good things, but man in coverage, I thought they were rough. I thought the secondary, that was definitely their worst game of the year. And some of it, there was some good. Armstrong made some good catches. And I'll give him credit. He was definitely legit. But I don't know. It's still a game I look back on. To me, we played horrible. And they almost gifted us that game. They almost did. We still found a way to lose it, and probably deservedly so, to be honest with you. Did we deserve to lose that game? Absolutely. So Arkansas did, for the most part, outplay us, but we did make some plays along the way. I don't know. Can anything else on Arkansas? Because I'm ready to dig a hole and bury this one.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that we haven't touched on is Josh Heupel's awful time management in the game. I think you easily could win that game. You could easily win that game if he just competent. Call a timeout. He wasted over half a minute on the final drive, and you only had a minute 17. You only had 30 seconds of game time, and that's because Heupel wasted the rest of it.
I think that's been an issue for a few years now, at least a couple years now, is it not?
He just doesn't call the timeouts.
What are you getting? Is there do you get some tokens?
It's because the subs.
If you take them,
he doesn't want the opposing teams to sub. He wants to catch them off guard, which he doesn't have Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt to catch the other team off guard. Like it's gone, buddy. Like we're going to have to move on here. Call a timeout and let's regroup.
Well, you mentioned that he doesn't have them there. Where, during the first couple of years with Hooker and those guys, did it not always seem like somebody was running open somewhere?
Yeah.
I mean, heck, even Joe Milton at the beginning, I think of the Pitt game, in 2021, there was guys running wide open the whole first quarter. He just couldn't hit them.
A lot of that was play design too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
which is just out the window now.
Yeah, I mean, if Halsley's calling the plays, Heupel better take it over.
Yeah,
he better take it over.
Where's all those plays? Like, where's all those plays where you have like stacked receivers and they're both running out, making a decision on which one to stay with? I mean, we've not seen any of that I can remember much this year, And just speaking on themes, how Tennessee usually finds a way to lose on the road every year. Does it not seem like every quarterback going into a game, we hear about like inaccurate quarterbacks, and they just, no matter how good of a defense we have, they just light our tails up. I mean, like Florida game 22, Anthony Richardson, everybody's like, oh, he's not very accurate. Dude was like prime Cam Newton on that Saturday in Knoxville. I mean, he was throwing ropes on the run to guys, and it just seems like every single time we hear this guy's not that accurate, he's in like the 55.5% completion rate. You might as well go ahead and mark it down. Dude's going to light us up and make like Aaron Rodgers type throws. I mean, does it not seem like that always happens to us?
Yep, the whole lifetime.
That was one of the things I looked at going into that game the other night was Green, heck of an athlete, has these moments, but for the most part, his passing numbers were not that impressive. And the thing I was concerned with, I was like, if we can, limit their run game. If you would have told me going into that game that we would have held them to 130 some yards, I would have told you we won that one by a couple touchdowns. Because that was what I thought. I was like, if we can limit that run game somewhere in that, we're in good shape. But no, their quarterbacks throw for 297. That should not have happened. That should not have happened on it. And like you said, we've had that knack for making guys look like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or somebody. I mean, Spencer Rattler again that night looked like 49ers era Joe Montana, John L. He looked like a combination of all of them. I mean, the Purdue was at O'Connell in the bowl game. Purdue back in 2021 looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I just don't know. I mean, I gotta. The time management thing's a problem, though. There is no reason with 2 timeouts. Let them sub at this point. You're not even going up tempo. I mean, the Tennessee teams before would have snapped that ball in like 10 seconds. They would have never let that much time. He's got to get his tempo going back again. Because when a guy changes, there's only one thing that ends up happening change-wise when a dude starts changing his philosophy. It got him to the dance. That means another change gets made not long down the road. And we don't want that. We don't want it. But I don't like seeing a guy change from his bread and butter either, especially when supposedly got this ultra-talented quarterback. We heard about this deep wide receiving core. I mean, Dylan Sampson's a real deal. But I would like to see, and I think some people in the chat mentioned it, I think you guys too, get Sampson out in the flats, hit some screens with him, see what he can do in the passing game a little bit. Line him up in the slot some. See if you can get a mismatch on a linebacker. Do the same with Cam Seldon. Where's this creative offense at that we seen 2 years ago? There's no mismatches or anything. It's just, but the time management is just, it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible the other night. And I would say against Oklahoma, it was bad because they're trying to run clock, but they were snapping it quick and just trying to run it. So, make your mind up. If you're going to run the clock, run the play clock down. Don't run the play clock down when you need to get as many plays off as possible. It made no sense the other night. There was just such a comedy of errors the other night. And it was in all 3 phases of the game. I don't think there's a single. Maybe Sims, the running backs coach, could sleep okay. But, I mean, his guys didn't block in pass protection. To me, I would get them out for screens and stuff and let your tight ends do that. I don't know. There's just not – I don't know. I'm burying it on that one. I'm over Arkansas game. There's probably – we could go on that one all night long. I'm throwing that one in a casket. I'm going to piss on it. I'm going to light it on fire, and I'm going to put it in the ground and say that one's done. Because I've been dying to ask this question for a bit. Is this week must win for Josh Heupel? And is it a case of not only does he need to win, but does he need to win convincingly? I'll start with you, Kerry.
If you lose, the season's over. That's as simple as that. If you lose, you're losing to Bama the next week. You're definitely losing to Georgia. You may Vanderbilt then at that point becomes a toss-up that's leaning towards Vanderbilt. You got to win. You have to win this Saturday night. If you don't, it's going to get rough. I don't think you necessarily have to blow them out the water. I'm going to be extremely upset if I don't see us score more than 35 points. That's for sure. Something's got to change. We got to score points. I'm tired of this defense crap. I want to see the offense do something. Like, it's been pathetic the past 2 weeks. Like, just who cares? If you lose the game because you were just going reckless in the fourth quarter against Alabama, I can swallow that pill because you grew some balls and you did what you were brought here to do. Was what Josh Heupel was brought here to do, was score a lot of points, and it's gone. It's out the window, and here we are now, and we're dead. We're all sitting here like, where did the offense go? It's been 2 years, and we ain't done nothing. So you gotta beat Florida. That's the number one priority. I don't care how much you beat them by. It could be 3 points. It could be 30 points. You got to score 35, though. For me to be happy, you have to score 35 points. So I'm more concerned about – you go ahead, Frank.
No, I was going to say I'm coming back to you. I got an interesting question for you. I'm going to hear Landon's thoughts on this. Let me jot this one down. What do you think, Landon? But yeah, I'm coming back to you on your last comment.
I mean, if you lose to Florida, then you have to beat to keep your playoff hope alive. You probably got to win Georgia and Bama both, and then also beat Kentucky and Vandy. I mean, which are games that I want to say I'm super confident in, but if the same things keep happening, who knows what happens against Kentucky or Vandy for that matter. I mean, they just beat Bama. I mean, come on. I mean, but if you lose to Florida, I mean, I don't think anyone's even going to be worried about beating Georgia and Alabama. I mean, I don't see this team going to Athens and picking up a win. I mean, I'll just be honest with you at this point. I mean, we know what kind of environment it is. I mean, even with the offense we had in 22, they struggled. I mean, it was raining and stuff, but still, I mean, that's just a hostile environment. Josh Heupel needs to win against Florida. I mean, to keep the locker room kind of together. You know, I'll be really curious to see what happens this Saturday, just because Nico will be back home. It's going to be the first SEC game in Neyland of the year. I think that's definitely going to help all the things we've kind of been talking about here lately. But I think this is more of an important game than we thought it was 2 weeks ago. You know, I think the loss to Arkansas, the performance second half against Oklahoma has made this game bigger than what we maybe thought it was going to be. And do we know is Graham Mertz back 100%? Like, is he, or is the backup DJ Lagway?
They should be running Lagway, in my opinion. Mertz should be long gone. It should be Lagway's offense.
Yeah,
they do the thing.
Do we know they rotate? I mean, if those guys come in and those guys have a good day and the defense looks suspect again and the offense struggles again, you're going to have more people probably still kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt are going to change to, you know, hit the red button, you know. And so I think it's a huge game at this point in the season, because if you drop Florida, you're not even thinking about Bama and Georgia probably at that point. You're just trying to beat Kentucky and Vanderbilt and hopefully UTEP, which I'll be at that game. So I'm hoping it's not a close one. I'm hoping we score a lot of points and have a good time down there. But me and my father-in-law and some guys are going to watch that game. But yeah, I think Florida's a huge deal right now, and I'd put it in the must-win category, especially for this season in particular.
Yeah, I got to hit this one from Arkansas fan, and he's right on this. So Peter Jones says Arkansas is your daddy. Do y'all realize we've not won in Fayetteville in 17 years? Oh, for our last 4 in Fayetteville.
Well, just 4 times.
Something happens. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can't argue with that one. I really can't. Timothy McGee, new member of the channel, man. Thank you so much for joining the channel. Definitely appreciate that. And Timothy throws in a $5 super chat, says, I don't like the veer and shoot offensive scheme. It's like the multiple offensive scheme that Arkansas ran. So Arkansas had the big running back too. And Tennessee wanted him last year, Russell. I think it came down to Tennessee and Arkansas for him. But appreciate your super chat. Appreciate you joining the channel, Timothy. Glad to have you here as well. So I said I was coming back to you, Kerry. You said you didn't care if it's 3 points or what. Would you prefer a 52-49 victory or a 17-14 victory on Saturday night?
52-49. If their offense isn't doing anything, I'm going to the bathroom and I'm beating my head on the trouts. Like, I can't sit through Neyland on Saturday night and it be 10 p.m. and I'm sitting here and I'm watching this awful offensive performance. I'd rather the defense get lit up than sit there and just think what's happened with Heupel. Because you can adjust. You make the adjustments on defense the rest of the year. You can't make the adjustments the rest of the year on offense. So I'd rather a high-scoring game over a low-scoring win any day of the week.
Landon, you an offensive guy or you a defensive guy? Which would you, if you had the choice, what you taking?
I mean, as much as I would love to see the offense, start doing what we've become accustomed to, I'd be kind of a little bit nervous if they give up 49 to Florida. But that's definitely hard to say, just because, the things that would have to happen on the defensive side if Florida put up 49, I think would we have any answers going into Alabama if that happens? But just for the sake of the argument, I would probably say 52-49, just because get back to that brand of football that's got you where you're at. I mean, people respect Josh Heupel on offense. I mean, that's his calling card. It's his offense. I mean, it would be nice to get back to seeing what's, made him kind of famous in college football is that high-flying, high-tempo offense. I mean, if I had to take one, if I had to make that choice, which I hope we don't have to make that choice, I'd say 52-49. But it would be kind of disappointing to see the defense give up that many points because I'm not going to lie, I've got kind of used to seeing the defensive guys make plays. We've not really seen that since Heupel's been in Knoxville. But I think defense does mean a lot to him because we saw him kind of get a little bit, not really mean, but after that NC State game, he told that one reporter, he's like, at Tennessee, we want to have, incredible defense. This is Reggie White, Eric Berry, this is the house of those guys. So I think he knows you got to have both to ultimately win the big, the national championship. But if I had to pick one, I guess I would go with Kerry and say 52-49, although I wouldn't feel the best about the defense going forward, but I guess I would take that.
So Matt SS here says Mertz 76% on the year. I was looking here last week; they were 23 out of 20. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, hopefully, we don't bring the same game plan that we had last year against Florida when one of you mentioned Kamal Hadden. And Kamal Hadden had such a good year last year, but that play, oh my gosh, that play was awful.
Then he trips at the end of it and falls.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm with you guys. If they lose this weekend, season's over. I don't think they will. I don't know that. If I was a betting man, I would take Florida and the points. I'm not going to lie about it. I've seen the game too often. I don't have any confidence. I really don't have any confidence in this offense right now. I don't know about the defense after last week. Florida seems to be playing a little better, but I mean, their numbers, I was looking at them here. I mean, they went for 359 yards last week. That's really not that impressive. I mean, 229 in the air. They were accurate with it, which was better than we did. 130 on the ground. That was last week. I want to see what they did against Mississippi State the week before. I want to see what A&M, because we know Miami. I seen that game. Miami torched them. A&M lit them up pretty good. A&M's playing good football right now too. But from a team perspective, let's see. Florida against Mississippi State had 503 yards in that game. I mean, Mertz was 19 out of 21, 200. That's pretty good. Maybe he's a little better than I give him credit for. The running game went for 230. They had an assortment of guys on that. I mean, is there anything you guys have seen? I mean, pretty accurate. Anything that really, other than just knowing everything that's happened in this rivalry, if this was just a regular game this week, if it wasn't Florida and knowing what happened, is there anything about Florida that scares you coming in other than just always finding a way to do it? Kerry, is there anything that really has you nervous about them other than it's just Florida?
No, I don't. I think our offense does turn the page. They don't just run the ball every series. I think you may come out and you may have a 3-and-out where you throw the ball, which I'd love to see that, even if it does result in a 3-and-out. I think it's just a completely different offense this week. I think Heupel kind of learned you can't play the style of football he wanted to play and win games. Offense has got to score. You can't take your foot off their throat. Offense is going to score points this game. I fully believe that. And I don't see their offense scoring too much on our defense. I mean, until a team gets past 20, I don't believe a team will be competitive.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, and I'll come to you in a minute too, Landon, on it. I still think our defense, I mean, you got to give Arkansas credit. They found some holes, and they made some throws the other night. Anything that you've seen out Florida, Landon, that scares you this week other than it's Florida?
other than the name Florida, I mean, nothing that I could really point to that I would say just glaring that I would say gives me pause on it. I was trying to find the spread for that game. It's like they've moved it from 20.5 to 15.5 after the games last weekend, which I don't know. Since I've been interested in football, I've seen Tennessee beat Florida twice, 2016 and 22. It just seems like we always find a way to lose against Florida, no matter how much better of a roster we have, or if we have them on the ropes, we just always find a way to let it slip away. So I mean, I heard some guy say one time, he said, until they give me a reason not to, I'm gonna pick Florida every time. So maybe he changed his mind in 22, but if we don't at least come close to covering the spread, I mean, especially with it being in Neyland, I think that gives us a big advantage, getting back in the home stadium to play them. And how do you guys feel about Dan Mullen going forward? Do you think he's kind of coaching for his life still at this point?
Napier.
Yeah, Napier. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think
He's gone.
if he's coming in playing not to lose, they might as well go ahead and can him. Now, in that situation, he's got nothing to lose at this point, honestly, if he comes in and just goes all out. I mean, I think he is. I could see it. I think especially if Tennessee blows them out Saturday night, which I've got to see it to believe it. I'm going to be honest. I got to see it to believe it. I've not seen them blow them out in ages. Neither one of y'all were even a thought yet, probably the last time Tennessee truly blew them out. But I've got to see it to believe it. But I would think if Tennessee were to blow them out, you might see him get canned this weekend. Possibly. I don't know if the last. That would be
that'd be awesome.
I mean, to me, I see a pedestrian team on it. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit either, but in Neyland Stadium, how much did you get a ticket, Kerry? Did you get?
Yeah, I got a ticket. Yes, I did get a ticket.
Biggest game this year so far at home, because you've had Chattanooga and you've had Kent State at home. Now we finally get a big boy game at home. Nighttime. How riled up is this crowd going to be Saturday night? How fired up are you going to be on Saturday night?
I'm going to be an animal on Saturday night because I set the last time we played Florida at home at 7 o'clock on ESPN. That was when Felipe Franks lit us up and Jarrett Garantano just turnover after turnover. And I sat through that whole game. So I still have that burned in my brain. I even have it burned in my brain the next day sitting at Texas Roadhouse, just sitting there staring at the TV and watching the highlights of us getting burnt. So this one will be some payback, hopefully. I think it's going to be an electric environment. It may be crazier this Saturday night than it will be against Bama. Like, it's everything a Tennessee fan wants. It's a not game against Florida. And because a lot of the fan base that's my age, they don't have the history with Alabama because we just saw us get whipped every year. They didn't see the heartbreaking games like we saw against Florida. So it's going to be electric. I'm so excited to get in Neyland Stadium and have 4 straight home games. It's going to be a dream.
That's been kind of one of the things with this rivalry. Like, I don't know, you guys remember or not, the Bama, I mean, that's been one of streaks. Like, what was it? Bama won, close to 10 in a row. This was 80s into early 90s. Tennessee, I think it was 94. Peyton Manning, they went down to Bama, beat them, and that led to, 8 in a row? And then, of course, Bama when Saban come in, they kind of traded back and forth. And then same thing with Georgia. Tennessee beat Georgia. I can't remember how close to 10 in a row or something. And then, of course, Georgia's been on their streak. Now, Tennessee's never had – the most I can remember Tennessee beating Florida was 2 in a row. That was in 03 and 04. They got them in Gainesville. They got them 3 out of 4 years, actually, because they got them in 01 and 03 in Gainesville. Got them in 04 in Knoxville, and then they didn't beat Florida again till, what'd you say it was, 16? Wasn't that it with Butch? And Buddy, that one was real interesting for a half because that first half went about as bad as it could go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Down 21-3, right?
Yeah, it was bad because I had a couple buddies of mine who were there, and they left at halftime and went to Calhoun's, and they were able to get back in somehow.
Wow.
Because I was like, left a little early, and they's like, luckily we got back in on that one. But
If I'm not mistaken, that was the duck puller truck game, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it. I forgot about that one. But that was, who was Florida's coach? Was it McElwain?
Yeah, it was McElwain.
Yeah, old McElwain come in, and so they had some. I mean, that's the thing with Florida now with Napier. Florida's not going to stay down forever. They're going to get it right at some point. They've got to. I mean, I think they're having an admin issue from what I've seen right now, similar to what Tennessee went through for years and stuff. They'll get it right at some point. You know, Rondair says they got Kiffin on speed dial. I mean,
no.
To me, they can have Kiffin. He doesn't scare me. He's too big.
He's got to win something.
He's a bonehead. I mean, and his brand, the NCAA has got to crack down on all these flops. He does it. His team does it every single week. He's done it. They've done it for going back to 2021, the mustard game, or when Kerry threw the golf ball or the mustard. I can't remember which one you threw now.
It was
when
the
you were
mustard.
there.
I thought that was Kerry. I didn't know. I'm glad you confirmed that. I thought I seen him back then throw that, but I didn't want to say anything.
The hair was a little shorter.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to get him to play baseball in middle school, and he decided to play soccer instead. And who would have known this whole time he had that cannon? He could fling that golf ball down there, or maybe he kicked it. I don't know. Maybe got a volley or headed it or something. Possibly. Yeah. But let's see. We're about an hour and 40 in. So, I mean, this is one of those things I could go all night, but we probably need to wrap up here pretty soon. But what do you want to see this week? Now, Landon, I'll start with you. What do you want to see as we work towards what we want to see, giving a score and wrapping this thing up? At the end of Saturday night.
I want to see Apple get back to his identity. Get back to kind of what we got you here. Tempo, explosive plays, the whole 9 yards. See the offense get in a little bit more of a gel. Offensive line, give him some time. Hold your blocks. Don't just get blatantly beat off the edge. I want to see at least a little bit more cohesive on the offensive line. I want to see receivers getting separation. So pretty much I want to see Dylan Sampson just continue to do what he's done. I think Dylan Sampson could have a big game. I know he's had big games this year. I think he could really go off this week, especially if they maybe get him in the passing game a little bit like they did at the beginning of the year. And I want to see the defense just keep doing what it's done. I think that defensive line, shouldn't change a whole lot from week to week. I mean, when you have 12 or 13 guys deep, you're going to have fresh bodies all the time. I want to see them. I want to see James Pierce get home a few times. I think James Pierce has been inches away from having 2 or 3 sacks in a few of these games. Seems like he's just almost there. And I'd love to see him because, I heard people throw around he could be a top 2 or 3 pick in the NFL draft next year. And I've seen some people maybe drop him down. Like he's still top 10, but not really that, first, second, or third pick. I'd like to see James Pierce get back to a little bit of last year. And I'd like to see the special teams just have one complete game. No silly penalties, no silly plays. Maybe in the punt return game, just be more efficient. Just all those little silly things that have been going on in the punt game. I'd like to see it get cleaned up a little bit. As far as the prediction goes, I'll go 35-21 Tennessee. I think the defense, I think they play well. I just think Florida may score a few points, and I think Tennessee scores over 30. I'll give them 35-21 Tennessee.
Kerry, as you sat in Neyland Stadium Saturday night, ready to be an animal, as you said, probably going to see a recruit and drop them a star Saturday night. Who knows on that? But what I think I know where you're going to go. You pretty much alluded to this earlier. What at the end of Saturday night at that game? What would make you happy? What do you want to see Saturday night?
Of course, it's going to be over 35 points. Another point that I'd like to see is Nico to have over 30 pass attempts. Just throw the ball, kid. Throw an interception or two. I don't care. Just throw the ball. I need to see. We don't run trick plays. I want to see a trick play. Georgia did it last year at their own place, and they scored a touchdown because of it. If Kirby Smart can do it, why can't Josh Heupel? You run an offense that people say is gimmicky. Why not run some gimmicky plays? You saw it in the past in 21 and 22. He ran those kind of plays, and it's gone now. I just want to see a totally different game plan. I want to see us throwing the ball. I don't want to see us running it as much. If it comes down to it and we have to win the game because we run it, which we can, that'd be okay. I'd accept that. But I just want to see us light them up. I want to see Nico drop back and make throws. I don't want to see us step off the gas either. Put your foot on their throat and leave it there. Like smoke them until they're done. Like no mercy. Score 40 and then try to score 80. Like it's been 2 weeks where the offense hasn't done anything. And if you want to be tuned in for Alabama, this is a great opportunity to. You won't get an opportunity like this again. If the offense plays stagnant on Saturday night, it's going to be really hard to fix that in a week and in the first quarter against Bama.
One thing that stood out to me here, Mississippi State has they've got a lot of the same offensive characteristics of the Tennessee offense that we've known. Mississippi State went for 480 on them. I know Florida beat them 45-28, but looking here, Mississippi State ran for 240 and they threw for 240 also. And I think that's got to be a pretty good sign if you're Tennessee. So what did Mississippi State do? You can't sit here and tell me that teams are figuring out, all right, well, Mississippi State is running a similar offense. They could do things on us, but we can figure Tennessee out. Come on. You got to see what Mississippi State was doing on it. I really think if you want to get some confidence back in this fan base, I think you got to blow Florida out this week. Mm-hmm. I think it's the prime time to do it. A win's a win against Florida. Based on our history with it, a lot of the Arkansas fans here are confident that we'll blow Florida out. Man, we've just not seen it. The last time I remember, 2003, I think was 24-10. Tennessee won handily, but it was still 24-10. 45-3 back in 90, and then it was 92, the Heath Schuler game. It poured the rain. Tennessee blew them out in that game. That's the only 2 times I really remember it. And then, I thought a couple years ago we blew them out in Knoxville. They were, a Hail Mary at the end. They had a chance. Florida did at the end. I thought we were better. I'm trying to think of some of the other times. Mentioned Felipe Franks earlier. I think that was one that I felt pretty confident. That was Pruitt's first year. Is that right? Because I think I felt pretty good about that one, and then they just blew us out.
What year was it?
20, was it 18?
2018 still would have been Butch, right? Because
Pruitt was there 3 years. He was because 2020, the COVID years when we went to the
2017 was Butch's
schedule.
2017 was Butch's last year. So 2018.
So it was 18. I felt good. I was like, it's be Pruitt's signature win. Yeah, it was a signature, all right. It was a signature of things to come from him. But I'll be honest, I'm not going to predict much when we get to it here. But I think you've got to the biggest thing. Let Nico play. Like I say, throws a pick, whatever. I want to see him run, though. I want to see some of these RPOs. I want to see quarterback draws. I want to see the Nico with this ability we've heard. And I don't think it's on him. Not all of it. Has he made decisions that probably weren't the best? Yes. It's to be made. You got to give Arkansas some credit. Landon Jackson owned our tackles. We've discussed that one basically the other night. But I've got to see the fans are going to bring it like they always do, especially it being the first home game. Yeah, I could see this one being wilder than the Bama game just because it is. I think the fan base has been itching for this home game, instead of just Chattanooga or Kent State where it's over when the ball gets kicked off. That to me, Saturday night, I'm pretty happy if we see I don't have to see 50 points. I don't have to see 40 points, but I want to see a competent offense against a good SEC team. Is Florida good? I don't know. I don't think they're great. I said the same about Arkansas. Arkansas thinks better than I give them crap for. Just pissed over that game. And part of that, fans don't know. It's another letdown on the road, as we've talked about. We see it every year. But I think in this one, I want to see our line at least be competent. Somebody said this earlier. It was good and said they were listening to Eric Ainge today, and he said you've got a max at quarterback of about 2 seconds that you're going to have to get it out. So they need to be working on this fast stuff, fast tempo, quick stuff. That's the Tennessee that we know right now. That's the Josh Heupel team that we know. And this is a big one for me right here, the penalties. They are in such an undisciplined football team. They're such an undisciplined football team, Tennessee is. They got to clean that up some. Got to clean that one up some.
You have no excuse this week. You're at home. I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think you got to make a statement this week. You lose, yeah, the season's over. If it's one of these grinded out type games, you might as well just count on Bama's going to come in and roll the next week. Because I still think Bama's pretty good no matter what they do. But you hadn't predicted yet, have you, Kerry?
No, I haven't predicted.
I didn't think so. Landon, you said 35-21, right? Yeah. Who's your player of the game? Who's your player of the game?
Let's go James Pierce.
You going Pierce to break out?
Yeah, I'll go Pierce. I mean, he's been so close all year. I think this week puts it all together. I think maybe Eric Kane say that he thought maybe he had just got used to the success maybe a little bit, and maybe just wasn't finishing plays that maybe he was more hungry for last year. Maybe it's been a wake up call a little bit. I think he showed a lot more. Just effort against Arkansas. I think he puts it all together against Florida. He's going to have a maniac crowd, which Kerry will be there for that. I think he comes alive against Florida, and hopefully the other player of the game, you said Mertz is 76% on the year.
Yeah,
put him down for 95 this Saturday.
95%.
I mean, if it seems like we always add about 15% to the completion range. So we'll see what happens.
So about 30 out of 31 for him for about 376.
Could be. Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me.
Heisman-like moment.
Nothing. All right, Kerry, what's your prediction? Who's your player of the game?
Prediction. I mean, it's. I don't think anybody could be close to a prediction. I've said we have the score over 35, so I will go 38-17. I don't. They're not scoring over 20. I don't think anybody can score over 20. That's not Georgia or Alabama. I'm not leaving Neyland Stadium too happy if we don't score over 35, so I got to go 38-17.
Do you all think they'll play looser at home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, of course, we saw Chattanooga and Kent State. Apples to oranges. You really can't compare that to Oklahoma. You can't really NC State. NC State's not looking too good, but NC State's still another level from those teams. And then, of course, Arkansas the other night. You're not in that Oklahoma-Arkansas environment that they bring in. And those night games are going to be that way. But at home, they got to be looser, I think. And 38-17. I like it. I'm going to go. Well, who'd you say your player of the game is?
I hate it so much picking just the simplest player of the game. But I think it has to be Nico. If you want to move forward and be confident about the rest of the season, it has to be Nico. He's got to have a good completion percentage, make pretty good decisions, throw 2 or 3 touchdowns, or maybe even throw in a rushing touchdown in there. You got to see something from him. I got to see quicker decisions. I just got to see him be fluent like we know he can.
I'm going to go. I hadn't even thought that much about it. honestly. I'm going to go. I normally would go big on this. Tennessee's got to prove it to me. They got to prove it to me. I'm going to pick them to win, but I'm going to go Tennessee 21, Florida 17. I'm going to say it's a now. I'm down on them. I'm down on their offense right now. I hope they prove me wrong Saturday night. I hope I'm so wrong. Not so. I hope the result's right, but I've watched this game too many times now. I'm seeing an offense that I think has no confidence right now. Maybe being at home puts that confidence back in them. And I know the talent is there. I know Nico has the talent. Dylan Sampson's a stud. I really feel like there's talent at wide receiver. The tight end, I think, Landon, you said it earlier, I felt the same on that offensive line. It's a top-heavy line. It's a veteran line. I expected more out of them. Even the tackles, I expected them to be competent tackles. I've got to see it. I think the only guy right now that probably has any confidence is Dylan Sampson on that offense, and I'm going to make the easy call. My player of the game is going to be Dylan Sampson. I expect him to have a big game again, probably a couple touchdowns, and I'm thinking Pierce. I think Pierce, I normally always – I'm going to go – man, who am I going to go defense? I'm going to go opposite. I could go Pierce too. I'm going to go with – I'm kind of liking Joshua Joseph's, what he's doing. I'm expecting him to make a play or two big Saturday night. So I'm going to go easy choice on the offense, go Sampson, and I'm going Joshua Joseph's on defense. My wishful player of the game is that Nico goes for about 350 to 400 total yards on Saturday night, passing and running. I want to see the Nico that gets out and runs and makes plays. That's my ideal night. And my ideal night is we have that Alex Brown-esque type game. I don't know if you guys remember him playing at Florida. It's for your time, but 99, it was the year after Tennessee won the national championship in the swamp. Alex Brown went off for Florida. I don't remember how many sacks he had against T. Martin, but ideally, I would like to see James Pierce have his Alex Brown game Saturday night and have about 4 sacks on it. But that's my final. I'm going 21-17, and my gosh, that kills me to make that pick. It absolutely kills me. I never thought I'd say a Heupel team to score 21 freaking points, especially at home. But I'll gladly be wrong. Y'all want to entertain this one? Some of the Arkansas fans. Who you think wins, Arkansas or LSU Saturday night?
The Hogs.
It's in Fayetteville, right?
I'm rooting for the Hogs every game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Let's go Hogs.
Go Hogs. Yep. Make us look.
Go to Nico Slaughter. Let's go. Keep it up. If he plays terrible the rest of the season, I feel a lot worse. So hope he keeps balling out.
Yep. I hope he does too. So I'll go Hogs too at home. I just think the LSU or the SEC's weird this year. It's weird to me. I think there's it's turning out to be, there's a bunch of good teams. And I think, maybe some of the Arkansas were self-inflicted games. I'll be honest. I think Missouri is one of the bottom teams in the conference.
They are.
I don't necessarily think they're bad, but I think they're highly overrated. Mississippi State's not good. I really don't think South Carolina's good. And I know South Carolina gave LSU all they had and beat Kentucky. I don't know, man. It's just a weird year in the conference. It just seems like any week anybody could
Turns
step up.
out, I guess business was a little bit harder to stand on than Eli Drinkwitz thought.
Yeah. What was that about? Did Drinkwitz try to give one of his players a blanket or something? Did y'all see that?
Yeah, because
I didn't
was
see that.
Thinking about it. How does a Texas A&M wide receiver sneak into an opposing team's hotel room and put a blanket and a note on his bed? Like, I'm sorry. And Mike Elko, he mentioned it in his post-game interview. Like, that's a little bit of a setup. Like, that's not happening. Like, it's just they're so strict on that kind of stuff. You can hardly even get into their hotels, much less get on the same floors as them. I think sometimes they even block off the floors where you can't get on their floors. So I think that's just a total setup, which was hilarious. Once I got the context of it, I was like, wow, like if he actually did that, that's different.
So is the thought Drinkwitz went and planted this blanket?
I
Pretty
think that's
much.
kind of what
Somebody
they alluded
did.
to,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Whoever Missouri plays next week, give me the other team by 30. That's weird,
He's
dude.
He's a clown, man. Him and Beamer are the worst. Those two are the worst. Of course, Beamer, I don't blame you. He had every right to be ticked this past week. All the flops of Ole Miss. That's ridiculous. But well, hopefully next time we talk a little football on here, we're a little happier than we were this week on it. But we're right at 2 hours. We had a good crowd tonight. Had a lot of people. Tried to get to a lot of comments. Probably not interacted as much. We've tried to hit them as much as possible. But appreciate Landon coming on tonight. Enjoyed having him. Appreciate Kerry as usual. And we're gonna wrap up on that. We all got Florida not beating Tennessee. I was about to say Florida beating Tennessee, but let's hope not. Anyway, got Tennessee, got Kerry. Next Monday night, he better be hoarse. Better be still trying to find his voice next Monday night. So, or actually, it'd be nice if, you yell your voice out the first half and then they can put the backups in. It's
hopefully
so much out of whack. So, but we're going to wrap up on that one. Guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel on it. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on the way out. Make sure you share it out for the replay. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe, turn on those notifications when we go live as well. Check out those membership tiers as well. He's Kerry. He's back. Oh, I need to plug you. Backwoods. Tell everybody real quick before we leave. Tell them a little bit about your channel if they hadn't checked it out already. So,
Yeah, guys, BackwoodsTN. Started the grind back about a year ago now. Had about 3,000 subs, and we're about to hit 10,000. We're about 300, 400 away. So we've been growing really good. Just East Tennessee family, doing some logging, working hard. You're not going to get anything real crazy over there, just some everyday people out working. So think you might enjoy that. Come hit the channel. Frank, really appreciate the opportunity to come on. I know I log, but I chose to be a Tennessee fan whenever I was a kid. It has dictated my mood for the last 20 years. So, yeah, maybe not the best decision, I guess, but I've enjoyed your stuff for a long time. Really appreciate the content you put out, and I think Kerry adds a lot of good to the channel as well. Enjoy both of y'all, and really appreciate y'all letting me come on.
Yeah, man, glad to have you. And Kerry, any final words of wisdom before you head out tonight?
You guys hit it. There's nothing I got to say. Just go Vols. Let's take care of business Saturday night.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. We're getting out of here. I'm Frank. He's Kerry. He's Backwoods, Tennessee. Check out his channel. Make sure you sub to his as well. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Let me find all my stuff here. And we're going to get out of here. Last but most certainly not least, go Vols.